You're listening to the Synergy Leadership Podcast, a discussion with engaging, empowering, and enlightening leaders about the greatest competitive advantage in business and entrepreneurship that often goes unrecognized: a team's energy. Here's your host, the woman who puts the energy in synergy, Karen R. Jenkins.
Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Synergy Leadership Podcast. I am so excited to have a very special guest, Mr. Jeff Black, the founder and lead consultant for Black Sheep Global. Jeff, I'm not going to belabor this because there's so much that I want to unpack with you today. So would you introduce yourself and give a little bit of background about who you are and how you got to this point in your career?
Of course. Well, I have to say first, Karen Jenkins, I feel very connected to you when we met, and it's just been a joy for me to be able to be with your audience today. So Karen and all, I am the black sheep of the family. That's right. My dad was a GM car dealer in South Carolina. I tried selling Buicks for the most miserable 13 months of my life. I couldn't make a Buick sound cool. I went in one day and quit, went home that night and told my wife I was going to start a consulting company based on my television background. And she said, and I quote, "Well, perhaps you should name your consulting company Black Sheep because you just got us cut out of the will, dummy." End of quote. So that was really the beginning of Black Sheep 27 years ago. We've now worked in 27 countries. We deliver Black Sheep programming in 10 different languages. I'm just so blessed and humbled to have started in a small town called Manning, South Carolina. Love those folks there. Really, my roots trace back there. But we offer programs around communications, executive presence, leadership development, personal branding, systems thinking, women's leadership. I have 30 consultants on the Black Sheep team around the world, and what an incredible ride it has been. I would have never thought all of this would happen to me, and I give all that glory to God. I'm so thankful, so blessed, and so humbled.
You know, I was impressed with you, Jeff, from day one. And I'll be honest with you, I shared with you, and I don't say this to many people, but it takes a lot to impress me just because I've seen a lot, right? I've been around a lot of professionals. I've attended Tony Robbins programs. I've gone to other great programs, and you impressed me. You impressed me day one, and just your energy and the information that you shared with our audience when we went through your class. You know, you have so many great accomplishments that range from working with sports professionals, frontline leaders, and as you said, the numerous countries that you've worked in. So tell us a little bit about the unique challenges in your diverse spectrum of clients. What are their biggest challenges that you see?
Karen, I'd say the biggest challenge I see with most of our clients, whether it's manufacturing, entertainment, business, tech, whatever it may be, is the ability to take all of the complexity that they have to work in every day and deliver with simplicity. We're overwhelmed by content, right? There's more content than ever. And so I think the best leaders in the world, regardless of what their background is, I think the best leaders are able to take all of the complexity and just provide very simple, clear, concise, compelling messages. So I always tell all of our participants, when you can move from complexity to simplicity, you're on the right path because that's what makes you authentically memorable. People ask me all the time, executive presence is our signature program. I've led many executive presence programs around the world, and we'll talk about what it means in the room and all that. And they'll always come back and say, "All right, Jeff, what does it mean to you?" And I said, well, if I had to put it in 2 words, it's being authentically memorable. What did they remember about you at the end of the week? They're not going to remember all the data you put on the PowerPoint slide, all the numbers that you spill forth. What was the story that you told to bring those numbers to life? Did they see your passion, your compassion? Did they see your commitment to that project, to their team, whatever that may be? So I think great leaders today really are authentically memorable.
So when you look at your specific leadership style, how has it been a driving force behind your actual success as you have led this wonderful career path over these years?
Many reasons, many thoughts on this question. I would say most importantly is just being true to you. I know who I am. I am comfortable in my skin. It took me a while to get there. In the beginning, when I started out consulting, GE was my first big client. I was like, okay, well, I need to look the GE executive part. And then I quickly realized, no, I just needed to look the Jeff Black Sheep part and be me. And so I think that was what helped significantly. And just also focusing in on our strengths. We hear all the time, well, work on those things you're not good at. And that's good. But with my team, what I've purposely tried to do, especially as I think about synergy and leadership, is I've really just tried to think, okay, let's play to everyone's strengths on this team. Let's just go there. We can improve those areas, certainly, but we can lose a lot of time in that too. So what do we just do well? When I think of my team, I've got some of my consultants. I mean, they are just brainiacs, Karen. They are so smart. They are way smarter than me. That's not me. I'm not that smart. But I think what I bring to the Black Sheep team is the engagement. And quite frankly, I'm going to say entertainment. One of my consultants says, Jeff, I figured you out. It took me a while, but you're all about edutainment, a little bit of education and a lot of entertainment. So that's okay. I take that. And I wear that edutainment title proudly. So I just think it's knowing what the client needs, knowing what the audience needs on that given day, and going on that path.
And that's a powerful point. One of the realizations I had with my team, and we were a new team about a year ago, was we brought all these great talents together. And it took us a while to, I guess you call it storming, right? There's Norman storming and all those different processes of a team. But the reality was we had to find out where everybody's gift was.
Right.
And when you look at, for example, a basketball team, we had some people that were able to play the point guard position, but we had them in the post position, and that was not working well. But
Right.
once we figured out what their true gifts were and we aligned them in what they were good at, our team just flowed. The process kind of came together, the synergy started happening. We were happening, already, but we really got into our flow. So for you even to acknowledge and recognize that you have to look at people's strengths, you have to look at where they are and leverage that and become successful in that way.
Yeah. And
Go
didn't
ahead.
you see too, Karen, with your team, that whenever you played to everybody's strengths, the end result was a much better
It
work
was
product, a much better
everything.
collaboration, a much better team.
Everything. A much better collaboration, results, energy. I'm an energy person. And they were just more content with themselves and with the team, right? Everybody has a little bit of angst or a little bit of anxiety or stress when you come to a job, but it didn't feel like a job at that point, right? It didn't feel like I was coming to work. It was a passionate thing that they were looking forward to doing. You know what happens when you do your passion? It doesn't feel like work. And I hate to say it, there's certain things that I do in my job that I probably do for free, shouldn't, but because I'm passionate about it. And I see your passion every time I see you. Share with us what drives you in what you do. And then what is the purpose behind your passion? Because you emanate what passion should look like. So share with our audience.
Somebody told me last week, they said, you have got more energy than anybody I've ever seen in my life. And I said, well, when you're 48 plus 12, you got to have a lot of energy, right? And I think I go back to what you said earlier, Karen. You used the word gifts, right? Use the word gifts. And I tell my clients often, and I believe this with all of my heart, in business, we talk about G and O, goals and objectives. G and O, goals and objective. And I think G and O really ought to stand for gifts and opportunities. Gifts and opportunities, because we've all been given these gifts. And how do we use those in a way that is pleasing? And how do we really create opportunities for others? It brings me great joy when I leave a program. And, perhaps I've had a lot of technical leaders, right? And they're all about the nuts and the bolts and the data. And I'm like, ooh, I have no idea what those people do, but it's impressive. And I help them see that what they do really adds value to their company, to the world, and just walking out of there feeling like I made a difference on that day. I often joke Some days I'll talk to my wife, Stephanie, after a program is over, and she'll say, well, did you have to work today? And there are some days I feel like I worked, but most days I walk out of there and I just feel like that was a joyful experience. I learned something from them. Hopefully the audience learned something from me. They take something away that helps them be better leaders, not honestly, not just at work, but also in their personal lives. I believe what you do in your role, what I do in my role, I think we help people not just with their business relationships. I think we help them in their personal relationships. I really do.
I totally believe that. And I see it even with you because you have positively impacted my life as well. It's about the whole person. If I am working with you and gifting you with knowledge or information or whatever, and it's something that you can only use on your job, then I think I've done you a disservice.
Yeah.
Right. When we look at our synergy model, I've shared with you, and I think the audience has probably heard it before, but we believe in the model of synergy, the synergy leadership. It's engagement, enlightenment, empowerment. Engagement means that when we go to work with a client, that the people that we're meeting with, that we're working with, have to be engaged. They have to know what's in it for them.
Yes.
To have somebody sit in a room just because somebody said attend this meeting is like, why am I here? They're checking out, they're playing on their phones. I will say this, when we were in that room with you, I didn't see anybody playing on their phones, right? Nobody was off doing other things because you gave them that engagement, right? Your edutainment really works. But you also told us what was in it for us. So once we understand what's in it for us, then the enlightenment comes. So the enlightenment is the education part of it. But I'm going to teach you a skill. I'm going to give you information. I'm going to give you something that you didn't have before. So now you have new tools. But from the engagement and the enlightenment, now you're empowered to do things that you didn't think you could do before. And all of that together creates our synergy. So that's our synergy leadership model. And I must say that I have seen you live that out loud, and it's just remarkable.
Well, I must say to you, I've never thought of it quite in that perspective. So thank you. I love your model and you're spot on. If we don't show the value of what's in it for the audience, then they're like, why should I care? I often ask clients, I said, how many meetings have you been to at your organization where you walked out of there and said to yourself, they could have just emailed me that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, if that's the thought, you did not do your first synergy aspect of engagement. You didn't show what they were going to be the benefit of. And that, Karen, tells me that what we've all fallen in this trap of, because we're all so busy, right? That all we do is when we get the audience together, the team together, we just push out information.
Mm-hmm.
We push out information and we don't think about what's in it for them. How is it going to enlighten them? And ultimately, how is that going to empower them to move forward and help others? The best companies really and organizations, they really do follow your synergy model.
That's it. That's it. So you have written a book.
I have.
Called Unleash Your BS.
I know.
So put your executive presence to the test, I think is the tagline.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about your book.
Okay. So I have to tell you first, the title changed, not because Jeff Black changed it, but because a client had a very good suggestion. Unleash Your BS was going to stand for Black Sheep, the name of the company. But one of my clients who did a little pre-read, she said, Jeff, I get it, but you're also in a lot of countries. Maybe everybody doesn't quite understand Black Sheep. For me, after reading the intro to your book, I really think it's about helping people unleash their best selves. And I said, oh, wow, there's the title, Best Self. So I have to give credit to that client who really pushed me to even think about the title. I had a dear friend of mine in consultants. Two of them helped me with the book. And honestly, it started off, Karen, as just a regular how-to boring business textbook. And then we came up with the idea, you know what, let's create some drama, because Jeff Black does love drama. There ain't no doubt about that. You didn't have to shake your head so quickly, Karen Jenkins, on that one. Okay, fine.
But it's fun drama. It's part of your edutainment.
That's right. Thank you. So we created a scenario where these two companies were merging as one, and that not everybody on the leadership team was going to get to go to the new organization. So, as part of the development aspect as to who the leadership board of directors would choose, they had to go to this 3 day long executive presence program with this communications guru called JT Black, Jeff Black. And so they come through this program, and it's just sharing our content, but through a story.
Awesome.
And I tell people all the time, Karen, if you really want to be a great communicator today, in today's chaotic world, you must be a good storyteller. You just have to be. Anybody can sit there and update PowerPoint decks, and I can go get the date over here and I can throw it onto the slide. But I find as I go back to what I shared with you earlier about being authentically memorable, I think being a good storyteller today is just absolutely a must-have skill today for leaders.
And you do it extremely well.
But you also teach it extremely well, because that was one of the things that you
Yes, that we did.
worked with our group on that in the program that we went through. So before we leave, I want to share with the audience, if they wanted to get access to your book, how would they go about getting that?
Okay, so they can certainly find that on Amazon, easy enough there. But also, if they even want to learn more about Black Sheep Global and all the programs that we offer, please visit our website at blacksheepglobal.com. Karen, I should try to tell you, I tried to get blacksheep.com years ago. Somebody owns it in some other state. I finally tracked the person down, and he said, well, if you got like several $1 million, I might can let you have blacksheep.com. I said, you know what? I think I'm going to be just good with Black Sheep Global.
Yeah,
So there you go.
that part.
It
that
works.
part.
It works.
Yep.
I've got some upcoming trips. I'm going to be in London. I'm going to be in Abu Dhabi this month. So just exciting times. I must tell you and your audience, I really thought when I hit that 48 plus 12 age that I would be thinking about the slowdown. But I'm not on the slowdown yet, my friend.
Well, the 48 plus 12 is the new 40.
You know what? I've always liked you, and now I like you even more on that.
But it is, because I might be sharing that with you. I had this monumental birthday in April. Actually, my birthday is on tax day. Nobody seems to like my birthday except me. But yeah, I might have caught up with you in that regard. So I'm here to tell you that the 48 plus 12 is the new 40.
And may I just say that you and I both look amazing.
We do.
Let's just tell it like it is
yes.
right here on this podcast.
Yes, we do. We do. We carry it well, right?
We do. We do.
So
you know what? You are a gift to many, Karen.
And I received that, before I was to go, oh, no. I had to learn to receive, right, compliments. I had to learn just to kind of sit in that moment and say thank you. The old me would have been like, oh, yeah, no. I received that. And I look up to people like you who had such a monumental impact on the world, because I can't just say our country, but on the world, one person at a time, but through so many. So, we talk about synergy. I believe that we're all energy, and that synergy is the ability for me to leverage my energy and the energy of others to accomplish a common goal, right? And that's a lot to do with leadership. But when you look at your history, how have you seen synergy evolve or work, for that fact, in your leadership role or in teams that you've worked with?
Karen, I think I just had a flashback as you were saying that and asking the question. I just had a flashback to some of our clients who call us and quite frankly don't know exactly what they need. And I think that's where that synergy just plays beautifully for us and for them, because we may talk 6 months before a program, and then we start brainstorming, and then I go to my team and we do that. And then we come back to the client and say, well, what do you think about this module to address that issue? And what if we were to do this as a learning activity around that? Would that help the team? And then showing up on that very first day. I call every new situation like that a pilot program, maybe just to cover myself a little bit in case it, bombs, but I call it the pilot program. But I think by the time we show up to the dance, we know the steps. The steps may not be perfect and they may not be memorized and we may be off a beat or two, but we show up to the dance prepared, ready, with the right mindset to help those folks be their very best selves. And I think that's where that energy really comes into play, when we take that idea that the client shares with us and we're able to really work through it, think about how we're going to bring that to life. Nobody wants to come to a learning program and be bored out of their minds, right? We all come, as you said it, right? We come for it ultimately to be empowered. So I think it's just the brainstorming and the creative aspect. And also, I would just encourage people to start writing again. I think, due to the world of social media, we're just done. But just to slow themselves down, I always tell everybody, if you want to be a great leader, you got to slow down 10%. You got to not look so rushed, because when you look rushed, whether you're walking down a hallway, whether you're speaking in a meeting, and when you look rushed, people perceive that you're chaotic and not put together. It's just slowing down 10%. Your walk, your talk, how quickly you answer questions in meetings. And listen, Jeff Black probably has to slow down 23.5%. 10% probably isn't enough. And when you do that, I think you're in the moment with people and they think you're truly, we talk all the time at Black Sheep Global about creating human moments. People just need 60 seconds of our undivided time. Are you able to put the phone away? Put it in your desk drawer as you're talking to somebody so you don't glance down when it dings. What are those human moments we create for people? And as simple as that sounds, and slowing down 10%, I think when you do those very simple things, you create synergy leadership for others. And you are the beneficiary of that.
That is so powerful. And I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I had written it down as one of the things I wanted to mention or have you talk about. Because when I went through your program, I think that was probably because there were so many powerful things that you left us with. That was one of the most powerful things that you said was, in life, slow down 10%. And believe it or not, in the class, because you weren't in the class that we had last week, one of the participants repeated you and said, oh yeah, hold on, wait a minute, let me slow down 10%. It was powerful. And what I love what you said as far as being present, we are so inundated with information, we're inundated with all of these distractions. It is very challenging to be present, right? But everybody wants to be present. And I tell people the sweet spot of life is in the present moment. In our heads, we end up in what I call one of three dimensions. One dimension is in our past, where we're in our head reliving what has happened to us, what somebody said to us or did to us, or in the future, contemplating all the problems that or the bad things that are going to happen to us, of which 90% of them never do. So we're in our heads all the time, going back or worrying about what something is happening, but we're not in the present moment. When people are talking to you and you're thinking about, oh my gosh, can they finish that sentence so I can say what I want to say, or I got to go get on the elevator or whatever. You're not in the present moment, and people can tell, right? So how many times, and it happens to me all the time, how many times has somebody walked into your office and you're at the computer, right? And they just go and they're talking. And then you're like, So I have to say, when somebody walks in, excuse me, can you come in and just can you give me about 30 seconds? Let me finish this thought.
Yes.
And then I will give you my undivided attention. Yes. And people respect that and they love that. They don't mind waiting that minute or two to give you that opportunity to finish what you were doing, because they do want your undivided attention. They don't want your time split between what you're doing and what they're saying.
Karen, I think one of the best gifts we can give people is our time.
Yes.
Uninterrupted time. And what I have found all these years later of, traveling the world, people don't need hours of our time, but they need just a little bit of time where they authentically and sincerely see that we care about them, that we're not distracted by the phone, we're not distracted by that email. I love that you just asked for the 30 seconds of grace to finish what you're doing. That's absolutely critical, because then that's the gift that we can give people.
Yes.
Time.
I tell people, the present moment is a gift.
Yes.
And it is a gift. They call it the present because it's the true gift, a gift of peace and of us being able to live our best lives. Because in that present moment, I found I'm less stressed in the present moment because I'm right here. I'm not worrying about whatever, past or future. I'm in the present moment. So part of my energy platform is teaching people to be in the present moment and live in that spot. And now we want to slow down 10%. So I'm going to borrow that from you and share with people to slow down 10%. As we look to wrap up, I would like for you to share with everyone, and you have so many things that you could say in this response, Jeff. I know you could, but of everything that you've experienced in your leadership journey, what are you most proud of?
One of my proudest moments and humbling moments was when I got to speak with, many years ago, when I got to speak with Annie Gibson of Somerton, South Carolina. I'm from Clarendon County. And Ms. Gibson was one of the original signers of the petition that ultimately led to the 1954 Brown versus the Board of Education school desegregation lawsuit. Karen, I learned so much about leadership from that great lady in those 2 hours. And that was one of my proudest moments. And I share her story. So that would be the moment. And what she told me that I've shared with audiences, I asked her, I said, Ms. Gibson, did you realize what you did would change American history? And she said to me, and she had the sweetest smile and gestures, and she said, honey, if we'd have thought that, we'd have never had the courage. We weren't trying to change America. We were just trying to change our community.
Wow.
And these words that I think are so applicable to all of us today, she said, we didn't get overwhelmed by this big mountain that was in front of us. All we did was keep our eyes on the path right in front.
Mm.
And in these chaotic times we're all in, it is so easy to get overwhelmed by the big mountain. So I challenge all of those who are listening to this to just keep your eye on the path that's right in front. That's
That
what
is
gets
so
us
powerful.
over the mountain.
That is so powerful, Jeff. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so enjoying this conversation. So I'm going to invite you back, right?
I will, at 48 plus 12, I will be offended if you do not invite me back.
So my last question for you, Jeff, is if you could leave our audience with one piece of leadership advice, what would it be?
Does it have to be just one? Can I just do a couple?
You can do a couple. Yes, this is your show.
Number one, slow down 10% in life. It goes so quickly, as I've seen in my own family, in great tragedy and sadness. Slow down 10% and create human moments for people. Take all of the complexity that you deal with every day and deliver your messages with great simplicity. And the last one I would say, Karen, would be, it's so easy in the times we're in today to react. But I challenge all of your listeners to respond. Not to react, but to respond. I think when you slow down, insert a 2-second pause before you come back to somebody after they've asked a challenging question, a difficult question, a mean-spirited question. I think the best leaders don't fall in those traps and react. I think they respond.
That is so powerful. Reacting kind of puts you in a hole because whatever that reaction is probably spur of the moment, no thought, and it just happens and you're stuck with it. Yeah. Responding means I've considered options. And hopefully I've chosen the right one. And that's, as you said, what true leaders do. Yeah.
And we have to know, Karen, that, there are going to be some folks, no matter what we do, no matter coming from a place of good, some folks we're just not going to win over. And I think leadership energy is being able to recognize that, not losing time, sleep, and energy over that, and synergy. and just being able to impact those that we truly can.
That is so powerful. That is so powerful, Jeff. Again, I am so humbled and honored that you came to spend this time with us and share all of these jewels of just great information and content, which is why when I saw you and I heard you, I knew I had to bring you on to have you share all, not even all of it. This is just the surface, guys. I'm trying to tell you how deep this man is. But a portion of Jeff Black and the Black Sheep global philosophies and wisdom. So thank you, Jeff, for being here. I will definitely be calling you back to continue our conversation. As again, I think you shared earlier, would you repeat again, if they wanted to reach out to you, if they want to get your book or find out more about your services,
Sure.
tell them again one more time.
So the book Unleash Your BS, they can find on Amazon, and they can find out or contact me via our website at blacksheepglobal.com. And Karen Jenkins, I thank you. What a gift and an opportunity, a G&O you have given me today. I am very grateful to you, and I appreciate our friendship.
Thank you. Me too. Well, guys, thank you again for being here. We look forward to seeing you on our next episode of Synergy Leadership Podcast. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to the Synergy Leadership Podcast with Karen R. Jenkins. If you like what you heard today, please subscribe, rate, review, and share our show. See you next time.